Today we're going to talk about deductibles and how they work. So there's really four types of deductibles. There's the auto, which is comprehensive and collision. They call it full coverage. And then they have the home, which has the standard, the all perils, and then the wind and hail deductible. So we're going to start with the auto first and explain what that is, how you need it, what it means, and what your portion of that is. The deductible is your portion of a claim. So if you have a covered accident and you're filing that claim, the car's getting fixed, it's how much you have to pay to get the car fixed. You get to choose what level of deductible you want, so it's completely up to you, but the higher you go, the cheaper you pay monthly or in full. The lower you go, so the less you pay out of pocket, the more money you're going to pay in premium per month or per 6 or 12 month period for your car insurance. The way that that works is typically you have comprehensive, and that'll range anywhere from $0 all the way up to $1,000 deductible. You can go to $1,500 with some companies, but it's kind of pointless to go that high. The most common one, the one I personally do, is $100. There's a good and a bad to that, and I'll explain that here in just a second. But the reason that affects the price so much is because what that's doing is the insurance has a risk profile, and you're paying a premium for that type of risk that you're building where you live, the type of driver you are, if you have any tickets or any accident. All of that adds up to be that profile. Well, when you're taking out a portion of it and saying, I will pay part of that deductible, part of that accident if I cause it, then you lower my premiums. Because yes, I'm taking some of that risk on me. And it's not just the fact that you're taking that risk, it's the people that pay those deductibles and take that portion away. The higher it is, the more they're willing to pay. That just shows partial responsibility. So I have $1,000 in the bank I can pay for a claim, but it also makes it less likely that you're going to have a claim because you don't want to pay that deductible. You don't want to have that accident any more than the next guy that has a lower deductible. He's more willing to just accept it, file the claim, push it through, and just walk away. Where the larger deductible you have, you're less likely to claim it. If it's a $500 claim and you have a $500 deductible, you get $0 back. So there's no point in even filing that against the insurance. So they don't lose as much. That's why the price comes out. Now comprehensive, which is theft, vandalism, deer, hail damage, they call them acts of God. So anything that you don't control is going to be a comprehensive claim. And it's not very expensive in most states. So having that $100 deductible isn't necessarily going to hurt. If you're trying to penny pinch, then sure, do a $500 deductible on comprehensive, $1,000 if you want to go crazy, but the price is so small, like a couple dollars different, it's most likely not worth it. You got to be knowledgeable of what you're claiming. So yes, it covers glass damage. If you have a $100 deductible, it doesn't mean that you should file the claim against the windshield. You have to debate that and figure if it's worth it, because some states do count comprehensive claims against your insurance. Most of them don't, but some allow them to raise the rates based off of that. It's kind of unfair, but it's still something that they allow. Then you have collision, and what that is that's collision. If you hit another vehicle, you're colliding, and that deductible is typically most commonly $500, unless you're an older person. You're age 65, you're retired. The risk profile for that person is really low, so you're less likely going to have to pay more to do a $250 deductible. So typically you'll see in older people, they'll do $250 there because it costs less or is very little. But then most commonly you see $500. That's what I carry myself. And so you'll have that $500 deductible, whether regardless of it's your fault or not, as long as it's not fraud, you're typically covered minus that $500 deductible. If you want to save some extra money, sometimes it makes a big difference to go to $1,000. So it might be worth it to check that as well, but just keep in mind, if you have a claim, you have to out-pocket $1,000. For some people, that's not doable. So it might be less savings in the end, but it might be worth it to pay that extra $10 or $20 a month to not have to come up with $1,000 all of a sudden. Unless you're smart, you're willing to put the money in the bank. It's very difficult. It's easy to think about saving money, but actually doing it is not simple. That's what those deductibles on the car insurance go. The home is a little bit different. So the home, you don't ever want to file a claim. It's usually major emergencies. Because you file one claim, your fault, not your fault, doesn't matter. Critter crawls in the house, chews up the wires, roof caves in because of the rain, hail, whatever. So if it's not a natural disaster or claimed as a disaster from the government, then your insurance could double. And that's the unfortunate part about it. That's just the way the risk profile is. It just goes crazy because the average claim is about 10 years. So when you have one or two in a 10-year span, that risk profile goes way up. The most common deductible that you're going to see is called all perils. Let's say you have some sort of claim, there's a fire, it's the theft, something happens in the home, you usually have a $1,000 deductible. That's the most common. Now, some people, I actually raised that one because the likelihood of me claiming a $1,000 deductible on my home, I don't want my house price to double. I'm already paying close to $1,200 now. I don't want to pay $1,600, $1,800 to save myself an extra $1,000, right? For the next 3 years, I'm going to lose more than I'm going to gain. I do a little bit larger deductible there. You can go $2,500. Some people who have a larger income have the $500,000 homes. They're not worried about the claim. They're not going to put it through. So they may carry a $5,000, even a $10,000 deductible. That makes a very large impact on the premium of the home. You can go from $1,200 down to $1,000, even down to $800 if you have a large deductible. It really just depends on where your pricing is at. The second piece, and this is where agents get a little bit tricky. I've seen a lot of scammy stuff with this, but always look at your policy. So there's two parts to the home. You have the standard deductible, which is the all perils deductible. Then you have the wind and hail. If you don't have a separate deductible, it's the same. So if this is blanked out, it defaults to the standard $1,000 deductible for all perils. Some people, to save money, or agents to save you supposedly money to make it look better, that way you switch to them, what they'll do is they'll do $1,000 for all peril, that way it looks normal, and then they'll do a wind and hail deductible, and they'll do 2% or 5%. Well, imagine if your house replacement cost was $30,000. $30,000 times 2% is $6,000, or sorry, $300,000 times 6% is a $6,000 deductible. That's why they get the price down sometimes. I'm not saying they're all doing it. I just see it every so often. I'd probably say 10% of the time. It does happen a lot. So that's one thing I always think, why is my price off? What's your deductible? What's your wind and hail deductible? What's the, do you have water backup? Things like that. So that makes a huge difference. Definitely pay attention to that. Anyways, guys, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you think you know someone that needs advice like this, share it with them. Definitely subscribe if you want to learn more and follow this as tips, tricks, all that great stuff on how to save you money on home and auto insurance. Otherwise, my name's Mark. I will see you guys in the next one.